All right, we got American Red Cross President, CEO Gail McGovern with us right now. And Gail, I was reading yesterday, of course, you have to, set up evacuation centers throughout the area, and they keep filling up. I mean, do you have enough places, enough room for all the folks who are now being evacuated?
Well, that is an excellent question, because you're absolutely right. The need is so dire, and we have 34,000 people that stayed in shelters last night, if you can believe that number.
Wow.
It is so incredible. 243 different shelters around the state, and we have swarmed in with 2,000 volunteers. We still have hundreds more on the way. It's amazing to me when our volunteers give the gift of time. I've seen it over and over again over the last 9 years at the Red Cross. And you can see behind me a hubbub of activity. These are volunteers in our command center that are figuring out the logistics that you just described. How do we get people and supplies to all these shelters? And so far, so good, but we have definitely had our challenges.
Well, you're up to meeting them, that's for sure. But I'm wondering, given the fact that so many businesses are opening up their own stores, schools, their gyms, whatever they can to provide for these evacuees, and the fact that we're getting more evacuations, some now being ordered in areas that are particularly dangerous in this neck of the woods where the chemical plant had an explosion, for example. How do you prepare for that, and who decides where you put up an evacuation center, or who's going to staff it, get the meals? I know it's a kind of a boring logistical question, but how do you do that? Because you're doing it on the run, so to speak.
Well, it's a great question, not a boring logistical question. We have warehouses pre-positioned with supplies all around the country. We have one in Arlington, Texas. It's filled with cots, blankets, ready-to-eat meals, diapers, baby formula, the things that you would think you would need in a disaster. And we have a disaster operations center in Washington, D.C. that figures out how to move supplies, and this is the local command center that's doing likewise. We coordinate really closely with FEMA, with state emergency managers, with local officials, and they help figure out where they can set up these shelters. And we have a shelter plan that we do with each state well in advance of any disaster. And of course, this is larger than anybody could have anticipated, but they are getting us the space that we need. And there was a period of time in Houston where every road was a river. And they've also helped us getting our supplies in. The Department of Defense actually loaned us 20 high-water vehicles. Wow. That we could drive our volunteers and cots and the like into these shelters. And I have to tell you, beforehand, we were sending people in city dump trucks. So the coordination has just been marvelous, and we could not do it without our wonderful government partners. Yeah,
one thing I noticed, and even Neil Bush was saying to me, and I'm sure you're witnessing this firsthand, you're leading the charge, that people don't know your political affiliation or care, whether you're Republican or Democrat, rich or poor, conservative or liberal. You're just hurting, and people are there to help. So my hat's off to all of you. Gail McGovern,
absolutely.
Thank you very, very much. Be safe.